Grenade! I'm not going to leave you behind, Private. That's right. It's another episode of Trench Tips.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going with that then.
That's
I thought you'd
okay.
lost your marbles
When the
once and for all.
gunfire stops, when the explosions die down, and when the rubble settles, I want two lads coming out of the dust.
Do you think you'd be good at war? I think you would.
What kind of war?
War. What is it good for?
Well, exactly. And it's so funny that you just said that because I was going to say the same thing. And I actually don't like you, but it shows that we're quite similar.
You know what I like? Just on a side note, before we get into the tips and the tricks, one of my favorite things, we do a lot of calls together with clients, with training, with stuff like that. And my favorite thing is, although you can see in a Teams call both our names there, and although we don't look similar, you'll be talking and they'll go, "That's a really good question, Jack."
Yeah, it's annoying. But, and let's be honest, it happens that way around more than the other way around.
What they think you're me.
Yeah, I've had people get on a call with me and think I'm you for the entire call, and you're not there. And obviously, the example that I think is just the funniest is someone being gutted and being like, "Oh, I thought you were the other one."
The other one. And I like when people reply to your comment or comment on your post and they spell your name wrong. And it's literally, or in an email, happens all the time. People say thanks, Jack, to you, but
But
your email's there.
I don't know if I told you this. Someone messaged me the other day on LinkedIn sales pitch, spelt my name wrong. So I said, I'm not interested, thanks, and then spelt that person's name wrong. It was like Alfie or something. I just put a Y instead of an IE.
What did they say?
He said, I see what you did there. Sorry, Zac, and then spelt my name right. And then I felt like a prick. No, I didn't, because I don't give a shit.
Okay,
Anyway,
wow.
yeah, I've changed
Violent.
the tone now. I'm switching over. So, Jack, today we're going to talk about questions, right? But not questions like, Gadoosh, I've just hit you with a good question. Whapow, there's another good question. Khreging, there's another great question. I'm talking about that incoming fire. I'm talking about persistent persuasion. I'm talking about that
Mm.
pragmatic pelangros. I'm talking about when the questions
Spell
come.
that.
I'm talking about when the questions come your way. Okay?
Mm.
Now, Jack, let's talk about this, okay? You're in a meeting with a potential prospect. We're an outsourced sales agency, and they say, whoa, 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 whoa. What we do is very technical. What are you going to do when you get asked a technical question?
Mm. I'm actually glad you asked me that question. That's a real life example. So, how would you answer a technical question? And you just say, okay, can you give me an example? I've got to understand. I'm the idiot here. I don't understand what you're saying. Can you give me an example?
Okay, well, they might say, Jack, they might say, yeah, okay, well, we're a cloud services integration partner. So we might need to know what software suite they're using and how you'd integrate with it. So if they ask the
Hmm.
question around that, what would you say?
I say, you know what's that? That's a very good question. Typically, it doesn't come up at this point of the call, if I'm being honest. So I'm guessing it sounds like there's a particular reason that you've asked me that specifically.
Well, yeah, because we're going through a big change at the minute with the suite of systems that we use, and we want to make sure that whoever we go with integrates.
Okay. And just so I've got all the knowledge, so I'm answering it correctly. When you say you're going through a big change at the minute, what do you mean? Sorry.
Just with we used to have more physical offices. Now we're more remote working. So the systems have all had to change from on-premise to off-premise and cloud-based. There's a lot of different kind of moving parts, but that's a change that we're going through as the company evolves.
Okay. And I could continue taking you down this path of finding out more about the problem example, but have you noticed how you asked me a question? You were in the seat as it is. You were totally in control, and just by digging a little bit deeper, gaining clarity on what they're trying to say, we've now moved on. We've looped it back to the problemo.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing I see people do wrong with this is it gets real avoidant. It
Mm,
gets very politician. It gets that like hand slam on the desk saying, look, mate, I've asked you a question. Just answer my question. What you were doing was there was a nice kind of reason for asking the next question, just so I get all the parts. What did you mean by this? The delivery also has to be quite curious with a lot of these follow up questions. Yeah, it's a good question. I suppose just so I can answer it, I'd probably need to know this. It doesn't run in like robotic, and that's what you did really well there. As I say, Jack, I don't think a lot of you. I think you're one of the worst human beings ever, and I think some of your views on things that are happening on this day aren't good. I think it needs to be challenged, but we'll do that in our own time.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, the other thing to consider with questions is sometimes things just get asked out the blue, and what we deal with is the question. But what we don't deal with is why has that just come up? Or
Mm.
what am I really being asked here? Okay. So let's give an example of we'll switch roles here, Jack. You might ask me if I've worked with anyone similar to you before.
Mm. Have you worked with anyone similar to me before?
That's a good question. I suppose just so I'm not being a typical salesperson, there's probably a reason you've asked me that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if you've got experience working with companies like me.
Okay, and at the risk of doubling down, if I are you looking for me to have had experience or not have had experience? It can go two ways.
Yes, I want to see if you've had experience with companies like me.
Okay. And when you say like you, is it companies in your space, in your sector, going through the same problems you're going through? Just so there might be a few examples I can give you.
I'd probably say like the plumbing and heating industry, that kind of thing.
Okay, keep going.
So like people in the plumbing and heating industry, SMEs turning over a certain amount of money from X to Y, and yeah, they're looking to solve those kind of problems.
Okay, and no one likes a big, long, boring case study or testimonial. What's the tick box that you're looking for? What you're looking to see with those plumbing SMEs with that turnover?
Have they used you? Has it worked?
Has it worked? Define worked.
Have you booked them meetings?
Okay, keep going.
Have you booked them meetings with their dream clients like household names?
Okay, and so on and so forth.
Hmm. The conversation's rolling. I love when you give people options. When you say same as you, do you mean like same size, same garden path? Do you mean like blah blah blah? Like it's just giving it a bit there, and it's like okay, keep it going. I'm like, you sound interested. You sound a bit excited. Like I'm doing my research here. The amount of salespeople that just go, what they get trigger happy. Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. We've worked with this. Oh, do you know this person over here? He's done this. Cool.
Yeah,
Well, that's actually our biggest competitor. I couldn't work with you. There's a big competitive clause.
exactly. The other thing that I hear is people accept the answers that they're given and just move across to the next question.
Yeah,
But
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, that's
makes sense.
great.
But sometimes if you're really, really actively listening to someone, you ask a question, they give you, if their answer is too short, or they do that funny thing where they answer a different question. So you've
Mm,
asked something, or can you give me an example? Like they give you something that's not really an example. And you're like, no, sorry, maybe it's my fault. An example of that problem, and like
mm,
doubling down. Or the example we just gave then is you gave me quite a short response. So like a Louis Theroux type interview. I'm like, okay, well that's interesting. Keep going, keep talking to me like that. Pad that out a bit. Keep talking,
mm.
and
That is the therapist style, isn't it? It's just,
and I'm going to show you
I
something that
mean,
I've done here. I've read your body language. You've just had an email that's either good or bad.
I've literally not had an email.
Well, what we looking
I've
at?
got
Look at your
commitment
screen then.
issues, and I'm trying to fix them for you. You'd like to see what's in the corner of my screen, wouldn't you? Actually, Thompson, I was actually going to do a really good point, and for those that are watching it on YouTube, I was going to do a bit of a right hand over here, a bit of a left hand over here, I go like that, you
Right.
know?
And that's called a stroke, what just happened there, ladies and gentlemen. We're worried about him. He can smell toast. Um, yeah, so in short, the points that I'm making are think about why you've been asked the question in the first place. Welcome it. There's no such thing as a bad question. And then clarify why you've been asked it in the first place. Bonus point, the answer that someone gives, don't be scared to double down and say, let's pad that out a bit more, keep going, or good answer, not quite what I'm looking for. You couldn't keep going, could you? Like, don't be scared
Mm.
to knuckle down a bit. Jack, your good point in the corner of your screen.
My good point. I think it's such a good point actually, and I've been thinking about that point for a while. I think clarity is something that salespeople don't do enough of. Getting uh, getting good answers, being happy with the answer. Are you actually happy, or are you just waiting for your turn to tell them about how amazing you are? Are you
Exactly.
happy with the answer, or are you waiting to just talk? Um,
Exactly. Very good. Very good. As always, we're open to suggestions on further episodes. And before we go, I want to leave you with something. Say what you want about deaf people.